the first thing that I want to test is your entrepreneurial spirit. The more you grow, if you go into pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, you have investors, really demanding investors for all the right reasons. But of course, you have pressures on the other side. So everything matters. So if you do like a small mistake, then it seems like a big deal. What I learned to do, to be honest, is really to zoom out. You have a lot of like the inner voices telling you, no, like you're not good enough, or like you didn't say, like the meeting was not good enough as you expected. So all these kind of gut feeling and inner voices that we had, I just think that are there to make us a little bit more uncomfortable, and we just need to address that. Being a founder is uncomfortable, it takes a lot of risks. So the sooner you accept that as day-to-day business, the sooner you will grow as much as you want.
Welcome to Bubbling Out, where we're popping the norms of leadership and creating new, sustainable, powerful ways to lead. This podcast is your sanctuary for discovering how to lead with resilience, manage change adeptly, and handle stress effectively. Join me for a series of breakthrough conversations, practical tools, and mindset tips, and a peek into my weird and wonderful life as a leader and entrepreneur. All aimed at helping you lead without compromising your time, energy, values, or lifestyle. Welcome back to Bubbling Out, everybody. We have Chiara with us today, and she is wearing the most beautiful jacket. It's green and gorgeous and festive. So anybody who's watching us, come and have a look at this. If you're not already watching us on YouTube, come over to YouTube and have a watch. I'm going to start wearing more colourful clothing, everybody, for this show. So look forward to that. So today I've got Chiara on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. I really wanted to chat to you because we connected a while ago, and because most of the people who are listening to this podcast are leaders and they are running businesses, they're in businesses, leading teams. I'm like, my mission is to really speak to people who have been through interesting journeys related to leadership, related to personal growth, crisis, whatever, right? And so when we connected, I thought, wow, your industry is really interesting. It's completely different to the kind of people that we usually bring on the show. And I just wanted to know more about it. So Chiara, would you like to just do a quick intro of yourself?
Of course. Thank you, first of all, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be also one of the guests closing the season. So a little bit about me. I'm Chiara. I'm Italian, and I am the co-founder and chief operating officer at Cloov. And as you mentioned, like Cloov is a tech solution for fashion brands to embrace the implementation of circular business models like rental, resale, and repair. So we operate in the space of fashion tech. And we all know that fashion industry right now is not really having the best time ever. So we operate in a very complex industry. But at the same time, the tech industry that we operate in gives us a lot of opportunity for innovation and for growth. So that's a little bit about what I do, but like a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm Italian, and I've always lived in Italy, worked in fashion, and for a while also in specialty polymers industry. So not really the sexiest industry ever, but I learned a lot. And then I also lived in the Netherlands for 3 years, and I worked there for startups. So that's also how I fell in love about startups, working directly for them and really seeing them grow. So that's how I think that my entrepreneurial spirit grew over the past few years.
Yeah. How many years, just quickly, how many years have you been building businesses?
This is my first startup experience, actually. So that's like I've worked for startups in roles like strategy and planning, but like in 2021, when I met my co-founder, something clicked and I started to think, what if I actually am owning the success and failures of being an entrepreneur? I fell in love with this, working with this amazing startup in Amsterdam, where I could see that every action that I took in the business together with the founders led to immediate results. Like it was tangible. You can actually see the impact that you were having. And then I started to think, what if I actually can create value from something that is not existing and that is not here before? And that's what I love about like entrepreneurial spirit. It's like you build something that wasn't there. And if you think about it, every euro of revenue that you generate, every new customer wasn't there before. So it's about like creating something new that really excited me. So this is the first time, that I'm a founder, and I've been a founder for almost 3 years now. So it's not a lot of time, and I'm a newbie.
Wow. But also you've achieved so much in that time. Like you've been through a fundraise, right?
Yes, we did. We closed our pre-seed round and we raised 400,000 euros at the end of 2023. So it was an amazing achievement. A lot of great investors and advisors jumped on board, believing a lot in our idea and mission to really change the fashion industry for good through technology and innovation. And since then, we kept, growing and adding the team. So that was also the difference between pre-seed and after, was that before it was only me, my co-founder, and few freelancers. But then we started to, build the team in 2024. And that came with a lot of challenges of you need to make your company grow and create a team and be able to motivate like an employee to join you in a very early stage startup and to really be driven as well. So you really need to motivate the person that you're hiring. So now we're happy that we are in 7 in the team. So we are slowly growing, and
Wow.
our team is just amazing. They're rock stars.
Oh, yeah, it's an interesting point that you made there. It's about you have to motivate people to be on your level. Like you have to be able to communicate the vision. And obviously when you've been through a fundraising round, you're able to do that pretty well now. But it's getting the people on board with you and then extracting all the stuff from your head and creating systems, because I actually found that that's the hardest thing. And the clients that come to me who've got businesses, that's the hardest thing for them too, is like, wait, I've been doing this like just on my bloody notes document on my laptop. Now I have to put a system in place so other people know what we're all doing. And now we need project management and we need assessment and all this kind of stuff. And so that operational side is always really overwhelming, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Especially because it means that you have to put all the knowledge that you collected in the first year, when it was only like you and your co-founder, and then create documentations, but even like onboarding, like the onboarding of a new employee, like it's something that you need to ensure that you give all the right informations. And for that reason, for us, it was pivotal to, from the really beginning, to document every process. And of course, there's always room for improvement. But what I really believe in, and that's also what I think that I care a lot about when, running the day-to-day operations, is first to make sure that you always document all the flows. Like we have operational flows, customer service flows, shipping flows, and also like tech developments flows. So we need to make sure that everything is documented, because then it's easier to delegate. Otherwise, you would lose so much time in meetings. And then if you have another employee joining, you don't have like a repository, you don't have a Notion, like you don't have like a knowledge center. So that was really a challenge. And right now we're getting better and better, but really I do think that it's key from the very beginning to document everything. It doesn't have to be pretty, it can also be on a Word document, like structure the processes and make sure that it's accessible to everyone in the organization. And really that helped us a lot to really improving the onboarding, but as well to delegate. Because I was realizing, as you mentioned earlier, that I was basically working on a lot of operational stuff while I should have done more high level and, business development activities. So of course, hiring people definitely help you to achieve that. So you have people really supporting you and the backbone of the business and the day-to-day operations, while you actually don't lose the projection and the ambition, because that's also the risk if you keep doing operational stuff as a founder. You risk of not seeing opportunities because you are so caught up in what you're doing, making sure that the processes they run smoothly. So I'm a huge fan of automations. So I do think that they will save you a lot of time, but definitely it comes with time. It comes with time.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's, if you're the one with all the knowledge and you haven't been able to extract it, then you just become a prisoner in your own business. Like you can never do what needs to get done. And I actually find like a lot of people hang on to tasks because they don't trust other people to do it.
Exactly. And that's also, I can say that I used to be like this in the beginning, and it was such like an important thing for me to grow as a leader, to be able to delegate. So usually people that are like, they want to have everything to be perfect, they struggle to delegate. And that's also like what I wanted to work on while building a business. And then I think that you need to have a click. Of course, hiring the right people, it's key, because of course you need to hire someone that you can trust. And then definitely having write down all the documentations, all the processes helps you to kind of relieve a little bit from the uncertainties of, I'm not sure what this person will do, but make sure that everything is like written down. And there's also a lot of trust that you need to give. So it may feel at the beginning like you're giving your power away, but it's not really the case. You're actually you're sharing your power with someone that can else actually help you and improve things. Because of course, for example, there's this one employee of ours, like she joined us as an intern, and now she became like such an important asset for us. She's the one suggesting improvements. She's the one being on top, even more than me. So I do think that delegating is so powerful for the business, because as I delegated more, I really saw things moving faster. And I could also focus on developing the business with my co-founder and focusing on growth, not to be, caught up in the operational task. You really lose the sight of growth. So it's like a balance. Operational tasks are part of the business. So I think that we should all accept that a portion of our working day will have operational tasks, but delegating is definitely pivotal, is one of the success factors, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like you stepped into your creative genius, right? The area where you're most efficient, most productive, most creative. How did you figure out who to hire based on your creative genius? Like, did you have to do any deep work on that? Did you already know?
So I think that I'm lucky to have a really good gut feeling with people. I've hired different people also in other roles in the past. And definitely when I look for a person, I don't generally care a lot about the academics, but it's more about of course, past working experiences, but the drive that you have. So I really want to ask them questions like, have you ever worked on a specific like project, like an entrepreneurial project? I really want to test out how they can be creative also with problem solving. Because of course, when you join a startup and you're not joining a corporate environment, you need to be in the forefront of everything that happens. So you need to feel empowered to suggest improvements. You need to be involved as the business was yours. And that's what I really value. So definitely in the recruiting processes, of course, then it depends on the type of role. But the first thing that I want to test is your entrepreneurial spirit. So if you were selling lemonade in summer with your sisters on the beach when you were 5, that's for me is already like interesting, because it means that it's in you, like you have it. So it may sound like a very American thing, but I do genuinely think that tells a lot about the person.
Yeah. Well, it's the mindset at the end of the day, like, and it really depends on the social conditioning and the upbringing that you've had. If you've been brought up in a culture where it's important that you go to university, you get a job, you're a lawyer, engineer, like whatever, mathematician, if that's important to your family, then that's what you'll think is important. And then you'll go down the career path of being employed. And to move from employment to entrepreneurship is really difficult, and it's a completely different mindset.
I completely agree. And I come from a family where that was the mindset. study, go to the best universities if you can. Find a job to pay yourself a university. We're not going to pay yourself the university, and then work, find a nice job and stay there and grow there. But for my family, I come from that kind of context. Like, they want you to find stability. They want you to find the right job with the right pay. And yeah, so you completely understand also like my pain point and the switch. I don't know how, maybe, I don't know why it was like the entrepreneurial thing was in me, but definitely I had the opportunity and the luck to really surround myself with such brilliant people, because sometimes when you cannot find this drive in your family because you don't choose the context that you grow up in, and I will forever be grateful for my family and the values, but definitely I have to find the drive somewhere else, maybe from some professors at the university, from some peers at the university, like really find the drive somewhere else. And that's why I really believe in this, like finding, like surrounding yourself with the people will basically make a lot of your future. They will influence a lot of your decisions. So I think that, yeah, I also come from that situation. And it was like when I told my parents, yeah, I'm going to start my own business, I think they had a heart attack or something. But then I just did it.
No, I totally agree with you. Really similar. My dad's also, he's an Italian immigrant and he's a doctor, and he's worked at the same, like he had his own surgery for 35 years. That's how we work. Like and the way it's set up in England is a bit different, but it's like you do the same thing, you get stability. It's always this word stability. And their idea of stability is someone else paying you. And for me, that's the opposite of stability. How can I guarantee that they're going to pay me? Like, that's not stability to me. So I'm the same to you. Like, you need to go out and, like, not everybody, I don't believe that everybody is made to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody wants to be. So anybody listening to this and you're in a team and you love it, that's also great. But I think what we're trying to get here is taking the ownership and believing in a vision and being able to really take on the risk appetite of an entrepreneur and know that the things that you're going to do might not work.
Exactly. And you need to kind of be, I think that one thing that also in the day-to-day operations of our business, there are a lot of days where, of course, things don't work as you want. And that's something that you need to get used to. I remember reading You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, like a few years ago. It's a book about this ex-Navy SEAL. Like, it's a very inspiring book. And he said, you need to build a callous mind, because you will have a lot of obstacles and pushbacks along the way. You need to get used to that. So it's really getting comfortable in a very uncomfortable path, because like being a founder, it's uncomfortable. It takes a lot of risks. So the sooner you accept that as, daily, like day-to-day business, the sooner you will grow as much as you want, because of course you have another mindset and you approach problems in another way, more with a problem solving approach rather than no, I will just stop, that doesn't work, I tried. Right? So we need to kind of get used to that. And I think that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that needs to go through that kind of path.
It's like an awakening. It's like really like a full 180 on your old self. You have to become someone new. And I think my entrepreneur friends tell me the same thing that they've experienced. It's like, it's a constant journey of personal growth and fears and working through your emotions. And it's actually one of the reasons why I trained as a somatic practitioner, because I was like, I need to help more people process these emotions quickly so they can grow their business quickly. And so it's really interesting to see how these shifts happen. Now, one thing that I do see come up, and actually I work with a few clients who are in startup phase, and the problem that I see come up the most, and you might relate to this, is being in the dregs. So really focusing on the non-important things because they're so scared of what other people think of them. For example, if an email went out and there was a wrong link, hyper focusing on that email when all we can do is go back, retest, resend, right?
Exactly.
I find that entrepreneurs really focus on these things if they're not taking a step back and looking at what matters.
Yeah, I do think that, of course, entrepreneurs, and I think that I speak to a lot of founders, tends to be very harsh on themselves, of course, because you have pressure. The more you grow, if you go into pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, you have investors, really demanding investors for all the right reasons. But of course, you have pressures on the other side. So everything matters. So if you do like a small mistake, then it's really, it seems like a big deal. What I learned to do, to be honest, is really to zoom out. So if something doesn't go the way that I expected, if I make a mistake in my daily activities, because of course this can happen, I just pause basically everything and reflect on that. And then I really think, okay, from 1 to 10, how bad this can be, what are the implications of this mistake, and actually, am I not maybe making this bigger than it actually is? So I started to really challenge myself with the right questions. And that's something that everyone, also like entrepreneurs, but not only entrepreneurs, challenging yourself. You have a lot of like the inner voices telling you, no, like you're not good enough, or like you didn't say, like the meeting was not good enough as you expected. So all these kind of gut feeling and inner voices that we had, I just think that are there to make us a little bit more uncomfortable, and we just need to address that. And one thing that I usually do, and that's a very practical exercise, what I do usually when I face a situation, when I make a mistake, for example, how I react to this, and I read it in a book, is I know that I have the version of me, like as a sister, as a friend, as an entrepreneur, and I know what is the best version of me. And the best version of me is the Chiara founder, because I am analytical. I can really outline all the processes. I tend to really be very rational, and I'm able to zoom out. While in my with my friends, I am more emotional. I am another person. So I usually try to put the hat of the founder Chiara in every situation and think, how would founder Chiara react to this, and how would she approach this situation? And that's a very practical exercise, but you need to do a little bit of self-discovery and understand what is my persona based on the context that I am in.
Brilliant. No, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. It's creating your identity, isn't it? It's like, I need to step into this. And are you into manifestation at all? Yeah.
Yes,
So
of course.
yeah. So with manifestation, it's like stepping into the person you want to be now, right? And so you're like, well, I need to make decisions for this business. I want to be this founder. This is the quality. And you're right. It does take time. You're like, you have to write this stuff down. You have to get really clear on what that looks like. Okay, cool. Well, Chiara, who's the founder, she's analytical, she's level-headed, she's resilient, she's calm, like whatever it may be. Okay, how do I generate that feeling of that Chiara now?
Yeah, exactly. Because the mistake
Powerful.
that I used to do a lot, and also the mistake that a lot of people do, is that they try to compare that with how would person X do that. But I do think that the click is, how would me in the best version of myself would actually deal with it. So we just need to kind of, and it's a continuous process. And also for me, like I'm still super young. I'm far from being like the most successful entrepreneur ever. I want to get there. I want to reach that level. And it takes a lot of character development, and really you need to examine yourself and go into detail a lot. So it's a continuous journey, but like all these little things that I do in the day-to-day really help me to navigate the uncertainty that you have. And also when you become a leader, since we were talking about leadership, like when learning to be like a leader, a manager to my employees, to my team, I really want to be the best version of myself, making sure that they have all the tools. I'm also always the person to ask, do you have everything that you need? I'm always open to kind of, let's work together. I really tend to kind of cut the barrier of I am the founder and you're below me. For me, it doesn't really exist. I really want to collaborate and sometimes play the dumb and say, I don't know how this works. Can you explain me? And that's something that you should be very confident in, really saying, I don't understand. Can you really guide me through it step by step? So it's a humbling journey as well.
Yeah, being able to be not right and not the expert is a powerful thing, because you can't pretend, like it's not going to help your business. And two, you're giving your team the opportunity to step into their genius zone more often.
Yeah.
And so they feel heard, they feel valued. Yeah, it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
I love that. Going back to quickly, actually, we were talking about making mistakes. If your team, because this is something that I see as well in my clients and people ask me questions on this. If your team makes a mistake, even if you're having a breakdown inside about this mistake, what's your reaction on the outside? How do you manage that?
That's a very $1 million question. I think we all made mistake in managing, like team making mistakes. I do think that as I learned to manage the situation better, when a team make a mistake, like a team member make a mistake, of course, the first thing that you do is understanding, okay, if this is affecting the day-to-day operations of the business, let's start to focus on that. So let's first focus on solving the issue. And it happened, for example, to us, a very practical bug in the system. And it was like very stressful moment. So at first you need to focus on the low-hanging fruit, fixing the problem as fast as you can to keep the business running. And then what I usually do is really to have a proper call with the team and member to understand why the mistake, because often the mistake is a lack of communication, is a lack of information and a lack of tool. For example, in this case, one of my team members, he basically made this little mistake because he didn't escalate to me something. So I felt like a failure myself, because I said, if you need my support, you need to feel free to call me and telling me, Chiara, I need your support here because I'm not receiving a response from this person. I'm blocked on this. So I really want the team to be open in saying, Chiara, I am blocked on this topic. And that's also is like a journey, because while having the feedback session with this person, I also realized that I could have improved a lot in making sure that the team has always the support that they need, because often mistakes are made because there's a lack of support or a lack of information. So, and that's something that it's a one-to-one. And I always love to ask the team to give me feedback on how and what could have done better. And that's something that is not easy to get, to be honest, because a lot of employees, they say, no, everything is cool. They rarely say, oh no, Chiara, I think that you were wrong here. So I really need to force sometimes the team to say, tell me where I can improve, because I know that I can improve somewhere. So it's a lot of making sure that you don't have to kind of traumatize an employee. It's not about blaming. I think that we are all in this together. The solution, the business is mine, but also is theirs. So I think that we need to kind of have a more, it's more a conversation. It's not a confrontation, but a
Definitely
thoughtful conversation.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting, the non-escalation. I find this, especially with technical people, and the communication. Even if they know they should be escalating it, maybe in the past they've been in trouble for escalating, or they've been in trouble for this specific mistake. So that's keeping them stuck, and they're not able to communicate. They want to communicate, but they're just stuck.
Yeah, it's
one
about
scenario.
Yeah, it's also about
I was going to say, based on that, from what you've told me, it's like you're building safety in the company from day one, and that is what helps. The constantly instilling safety. If you make a mistake, I'm not going to fire you. You don't need to worry about this unless you make mistake after mistake and you don't listen to feedback. But having the transparency builds the safety, and then that supports them to feel like they can give you proper feedback.
Exactly. And of course, it's always a trade-off, right? To give trust to the people that you have in the team and to make sure also that they don't take advantage of it, right? So it's a lot of, you need to make them accountable and responsible at the same time so that they also feel like, okay, I need to escalate. And as I always say to my team and to my co-founder, if we make a mistake, it's like we made it as a team, right? It's not like a person making a mistake, but usually it involves more than one person when you make a mistake. It's not, I mean, if you are like a professional, you know how to do your job, like mistakes happens are part of it. So I just really think that it's really important to create that accountability as well in the team. Like people needs to feel really responsible for what they're doing. And there's a lot of tools to make sure that happens. But of course, like continuous feedback exchange, making sure that they can also lead the project. So for example, I really love to make a person owner of a project and saying, I want you to lead this. I think that it's something that when I was an employee, I wanted so bad when I used to work in corporate environments to kind of lead a project and everything. So if you also give leadership to them and these opportunities to show what they can do, it's like it's a virtuous circle, because then they become more accountable, more responsible. If they do mistakes, if they make mistakes, then there's always like this feedback loop. So there's a lot of let's say layers to this topic, but we could talk about it for so long.
Yeah, we should do another one, another episode on this. Yeah, I was going to ask there, because there'll be some people here who are thinking, okay, cool, like, yes, people are making mistakes, but how do I stop these things from happening? How do I make it a we problem versus a you problem? And I've like, this is always a problem, right? Especially when you're in new startups. And the one thing that really helped me was having something called a maker checker process in place, where you'd have like a sign off, send out, but a really simple one to get things moving, like to create no bottlenecks. Do you have something similar to that?
So what we put together over the past years, I would say, is definitely like we have everything on Jira, for example. Every project, every task is managed and tracked there. So first of all, tracking and measurement is super important. And it's a tool basically that we use to collaborate in a more effective way, to also make sure there's no information lost in any Slack channels, emails. So first of all, it's really standardization of the processes of feedback on projects or for a specific task. So we basically work with Jira, which is like a tool that I think everybody uses. And actually, one of our employees actually recommended us to use this tool. So we made him owner of this space as well. And basically it helps a lot, really brings the structure. You need to standardize as much as you can all the processes. And then we don't have right now a very strict approval process. So of course we have like few stages, and then especially in tech developments where we have a lot of deployments that needs to be done in a sandbox environment, we need to test, we highlight any issues, and then we update the status. If there's any dependency, we have a specific status. So there's a lot of collaboration in this sense. And I do think that standardization really reduces the mistakes, like the error margin. So I would say that's my highest recommendation, to use like a tool like Trello or like Jira, like a tool where you can track and collaborate. More than tracking is like a collaboration tool.
Yeah, I love Jira. I just think it's the best tool to bring everybody, all departments together, because it's so easy to track everything.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like that when you have a process, you stop blaming the person. Yeah. And it takes away the fear of it, because it's like, well, I followed the process. It's the process. Something in the process went wrong.
Exactly. And if you follow the process and something happened, it means that there's a problem in the process. And that's something that we need to figure it out together. Absolutely. I agree. And that, of course, the most important thing at the end of the day is, as I mentioned before, and it's very important to not make people scared of making mistakes. if you make mistakes, really, it means that you were doing something at least. Like if you're always in the right position, maybe if you never, I made a lot of mistakes, my co-founder as well, my team as well, like we all do that. And it's so normal. We should normalize it as like, recurring
We're human.
business. Yeah, it's part of the game, right? So I made
Yeah,
tons of
exactly.
mistakes and I will keep doing those. So, and it's a
And
learning curve. And
also,
yeah.
exactly. Sorry to jump over you there.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think mistakes also depends on your energy levels, the time of day, the menstrual cycle, like everything. And I think, yeah, if you can, I think the thing here is if you can develop the capacity to manage mistakes when it comes to it, like the resilience to bounce back, to deal with them, to not have a nervous breakdown, to manage them in a logical way.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's something that, to be honest, it wasn't very natural to me at first. I've always been like a very too much of a perfectionist that needs to happen this way. I wasn't that flexible. And that's something that, for example, as a leader right now, I'm learning a lot and I'm enjoying the process of letting go of really, because these are just like emotions that you have and you need to learn how to control them often. And even because really you don't want to traumatize your employee. Like you want them to be happy to work with you, even if they make mistakes. And that's something that, to be honest, I had to really, really work on as a young leader.
Yeah. Well done, though. Like you've been doing a lot of work on yourself. It's like very obvious. Not everybody does.
Thank you. I mean, we try our best every single day, so that's important.
Yeah. Where is it? So, okay, another excuse that I hear a lot of is I don't have time to do my self-development. How do you make time and how do you prioritize this stuff? And like, what does the personal development look like for you?
So I do think that majority of the sales development happens on the field. So a lot of my personal development, I reckon that I develop a lot myself as a leader and as a founder, working and basically on a day-to-day basis, like working from 9 to 6, 7, 8. Of course, I always try to find my time in the evening. So like if you want, you can. So I usually really love to find the time in the evening. And generally, since I don't have maybe a lot of time in the evening to attend any courses, I read a lot of books. So that's also like a very important source of information, like reading from past experience. And like I realize there's a lot of other people that went through the same struggle. So there's nothing and no challenge that we are facing right now is a new challenge. Everything has already been written. So it's about really finding the right time, and usually in the evening or early in the morning when everybody is still sleeping. So it takes a little bit of balancing your
Yeah.
your rhythms.
It's being committed to the learning, isn't it? And being constantly growing.
Yeah.
And I think when, especially young founders, and I won't say there's a gender discrepancy here, but young founders who think that they have a huge ego, for example, and that they don't need to learn anymore, they're fine. That's when it becomes dangerous for their company, right? And it doesn't always work out. And I think those who are able to be like, I'm not perfect and I'll never be perfect, and in fact, I have a lot to learn, they're the ones who are going to be more successful.
I completely agree. And especially again, what is really helping me, for example, in my character development is to find time to attend entrepreneurs network sessions, or a lot of moments where, maybe during the day you're taking away some time from your working day to focus maybe 1 hour on networking, an hour on really sharing experiences between each other. And I do think that that's so powerful. So it may seem that you are losing your time, basically. But in reality, you are building connections, and at the same time, you're learning from others' experiences. That can also be like character development, but also tools and recommendations for your business. And I do think that you need to find the time. If you're a founder or like an entrepreneur, especially, you need to find the time. You cannot be every day in the office only working. Like a founder has to be also a little bit of a social butterfly. And that's something that is really important for the success also of the business.
I agree. It's like, for example, it's like, and if you're not a social butterfly, you can do other things like masterminds, or you can do like paid mentorships with like groups. I found that really helpful. I do pay mentorship for a very specific part of the business. And that's been so helpful because you're just with the people at the same stage with a similar type of business. And it just, just being there. And like, I always love the phrase success leaves clues. So if you're like seeing someone being successful and you have the opportunity to ask them, how did you do that? It's like invaluable. It just speeds up your progress so quickly.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I completely agree.
Amazing. Well, I have had a wonderful conversation with you, and I think we should do another one on lots of different topics. So I think you're going to come on more often.
We have a lot to cover.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you so much for being here today. And do you want to tell everybody who's listening where they can find you, where they can follow you?
Yeah, I mean, my name is Chiara Airoldi, a very Italian name, and you can find me on LinkedIn, where I post everything about like Cloov, my solution, and also about the fashion industry and regulatory framework. So if you want to follow me and the company, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chiara. We will have you on again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
That's all for today on Bubbling Out. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Your reviews and subscriptions help more people, more leaders, more entrepreneurs like you access the Bubbling Out podcast. Also, if you're on Instagram or TikTok, go and follow me, Emily Rose Delara Coach, for behind the scenes dog vids, somatics exercises, and me DJing sometimes. See you next time in the bubble.